Welcome in. This Gun Talk Nation is brought to you by Loophole, Be Relentless, and by Springfield Armory. Also, we want to let you know about the current Gun Talk giveaway going on. Enter now through September 30th at guntalk.com/win for a chance to win the grand prize, the Lipsy's Glock P80. It's a P80 Glock. Plus Crossbreed Holsters prize pack, Crossbreed Holsters Super Tuck holster, Accomplice mag carrier, and classic gun belt. A little history on the P80. In 1981, Gaston Glock designed his first firearm for the Austrian army, before Glock was even a gun company. The army designated it the Pistole 80, later known commercially as the G17 or G17S. P80 marked Glocks were never imported in the U.S., so probably you don't know anyone that owns one. Until now, you can buy one. So you can enter to win that, the classic P80 from Glock at guntalk.com/win.
And like Ryan said, this is a limited edition. So they're only making, 10,000 of them?
I think that's it. Yeah. So, anyway, today we've got a guy that you guys all know. It's Tom Gresham. Welcome in.
Hey there. Hello from the mountains of Idaho.
Hello. You sound, your mic sounds very hot. I don't know why that is. Yes.
Hello.
Yeah. I know you're not used to talking on a microphone, but
no, I haven't used it. Well, I'm not using my regular microphone. I'm using my little bitty earbud microphone. So, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So I'll just talk like this if this is better for you.
Yeah, you don't have to.
It's better for everyone.
It just because if it sounds like this is amazing. It sounds like that for the whole podcast.
Sound like I'm wearing my COVID mask on.
We should do this all with masks on. It'll sound great.
My gosh! Please don't make me do that.
Ooh! COVID masks with microphones built in.
Ooh, yes, of course.
Okay.
Why not?
No.
That's okay. The government's listening anyway, so it's okay.
Would that be a lav mic? Would you outfit that with a lav or just something like this, something big like this, so you have an extra big mask?
I want a mic stand that comes out of my back and goes over the top of my head and comes down in front of me, right?
Yeah.
Cantilevered, cool. Yeah, it'd look good. Very unobtrusive that way.
Yeah. So today we're gonna go schizophrenic on it. We're just going to cover all things guns today on Gun Talk Nation.
There's a bunch going on right now. I mean, and Tom's been hitting on, if you guys are not listening to Gun Talk Radio, shame on you. We've got a big following, and Tom just is just killing it right now. If you guys have the past 2 weeks, I mean, you're always killing it, but these past 2 weeks have been something special.
It's a crazy time.
People are calling in concerned.
Yeah.
Well, they are. They're concerned. I particularly like the lady who called this past Sunday, and she had traded her Glock 19 for a Glock 26. Did I hear her right? She traded her pastor for yes. She and her pastor swapped guns.
I love
because everybody at her church carries, and she had some specific questions about that. And so we talked about the Glock 26 and carrying, and then we got into purse carry. I was trying to tell her all the things we do on first-person defender and how we show people how to purse carry and how to do it safely. And then, I talked about doing malfunction drills and a tap rack. If you could shove that gun in a purse and fire that first shot, but it's liable to malfunction in there. Then I pulled it out. She had never heard of a tap rack.
Sure.
So, and most people have it. So I just kind of advised her, look, get with an instructor, somebody who knows this stuff, and spend half a day or a day doing this. She had everything she needed. She just didn't have the experience of working with an instructor or a trainer somewhere.
So I have something for you. So I was at Gunsight last week, and one of the people who was for this media event, and one of the media members is this lady Tamara, who writes for Shooting Illustrated and several other people, freelances. But she's really one of those. She's really a gun class aficionado. She just takes lots of gun classes, and she keeps a spreadsheet. She's done over 700 hours of training at different gun classes. So that's a lot of training. And she's kind of even has her her bucket list, the ones that she hasn't done yet. Right. And she's very up on this. She said, when you start going to a lot of these classes, you start seeing the same faces at all these classes. One of the big trainers, I guess, took a look at this And what he thought was there are about 10,000 people in the U.S. who actually take gun classes on a regular basis.
Ooh.
That's it. That's the entire population of people.
That is not many.
No, it's not.
That's scary.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that was fascinating.
And how many?
It's the same people taking a lot of different classes.
Yeah, yeah.
To it.
I want to go take John Farnham, or I want to go take Rob Pincus, or Masad Ayub, or go to Gunsight, or go to SIG Academy, or Tiger McKee.
And I mean, and if you think about the giant influx of new shooters that we've got, 10,000 is a minuscule number.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And even if you think about all the people who have carry permits, you got 17, 18 million people with carry permits, probably another 5, 10 million who are carrying in constitutional carry states. What that tells me is that hardly anybody is getting good training.
Right. Because the carry
keyword good.
Yeah, the carry the permit training is one day, and it's kind of like what you can and can't do specific to concealed carry. It's not how to engage in a self-defense scenario at all.
No, and there's hardly any concealed carry class that's going to tell you how to carry a gun, how to draw a gun, how to present your gun, how to clear a malfunction, and certainly not how to move and use cover. Those are multi-day things you have to learn. And here's my question for you guys. I've been doing this for a long, long time. I have never figured out how to break through the barrier to people to get them to go from, yeah, that's really something I should be doing that, and to actually signing up and taking the class. How do you break through to people who know they need to, but they just don't do it?
Well, I think it's one of those things that you have to help them realize that they don't really know that much, you know?
Well, but I think I think to Tom's point, I think that's the problem we're running into is how do you express that? Because as we know, we kind of thrive in a male ego-driven community. I mean, primarily, women's, and guns are on the rise, but as guys, we don't like to admit that we need more.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you have the right chromosomes, you're just born knowing how to, get in a gunfight or whatever.
I mean,
it's ridiculous.
It's
ridiculous.
And I think a lot of it is kind of demystifying the course too. I think guys think they need to know more. And I think that's some of what I deal with primarily when entering any gun class. I think it's understanding that it's okay if you don't know everything. It's understandable, and you're not alone. If you knew everything, you wouldn't go to training. I mean,
well, it's also asking questions. I mean, if you ask them questions, I know you do this all the time, Tom, is, okay, you know, there's a bump in the night and your kids are upstairs and the alarm's going off or whatever. And how do you know which way a door opens? How do you go through a door? And they go, what do you mean?
Yeah. And what you're asking is, when you walk up to a door, how do you know if it swings away from you or towards you?
Right.
And most people go completely blank, deer in the headlights, like, what are you talking about? Well,
why is that important?
When you go up there and you're ready to open it, should you shove or should you pull? Because you need to move into the door as quickly, but also as silently as possible. If you're sitting there rattling the door, bang, 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 trying to get it to open, and just for those who don't know, if the hinges are on your side and you can see the hinges, it opens toward you.
Right.
If the hinges are on the other side, it opens away from you.
Yeah.
There. Okay. Now you don't have to go to school.
Now you're all good. Now you're tactical. Tactical Tommy.
Now I don't have to. What if it doesn't have any hinges?
Well, that's why you have a breaching shotgun. You blow the hinges off.
If it doesn't have any hinges, the hinges are on the other side of the door, KJ.
No. Or what about a little French, like the sliding doors? Because I've got 2 in the office here.
How do you do that? Oh.
I think we should set up an FPD scenario where you have the little beads that hang down in front of the door.
Yes.
Just a whole curtain of beads.
Tactical bead curtain entry.
There's no going through those quietly.
You have to fight your way through.
Just slapping at them.
What happened to him? Oh, he got choked to death on a bead curtain.
Yeah. My gosh. I'll have to turn off the lava lamp before I enter the room.
Well, I mean, one thing is, even if from a very basic level, we have a lot of people buying guns or new gun owners, and a lot of them, they're buying the gun and they don't plan to take the gun out of the box. They're hoping that they never have to use the gun. They're not into it. And so that doesn't really do you any good. I mean, I could buy a guitar. I mean, it means nothing. It can just sit there in the corner. I don't even know if I put it left-handed or right-handed or whatever. I mean, you can't do anything with it. And it's just crazy to me. It's the talisman. It's the magic talisman thing. It just makes things go away.
But
it's the fire extinguisher that you left in the garage in the box that you bought. At least I bought a fire extinguisher. Yeah, but it's not in the house where you might need it.
the fire started in the garage.
Right.
Yeah.
But
oh well.
But we've got to understand too, the first step is done. They've decided things are bad enough now that they have actually gone out and made that step. They've walked through the process that we hear so much about that's so corrupt and everything of buying a gun, buying a first gun or however they do it. They understand that process now, and it's not that big of a deal. Now, hopefully we just need to get them over that step of, okay, now we need to practice with this thing. This is just like any other tool in our toolbox. We've got to fine tune it.
I honestly feel I'm biased, but I feel like knowing how to load, unload, and shoot a gun, just that is like just knowing how to swim. Like to me, it'd be like, what do you mean you don't know how to swim? Like, it's just an important thing to just know how to do, so you don't just sink to the bottom of a body of water.
Right.
You know, we're not asking you to swim the Olympics, but if you know,
think of
those basic stuff.
Yeah, think of how many different platforms are out there, and they all are not the same. Like, I think there's a generalization that all guns are just operated the same. And
you know, it's interesting you say that, but as we know, we've taken these classes. All semi-automatic pistols are pretty close to being the same.
Yes.
And one of the things that people say, well, you know, places like Gunsight, they teach you a specific way to do things. Well, the reason they do that is because the way they teach you, you can do that with almost any semi-automatic pistol. So their method of tap, rack, re-engage works with pretty much anything. Yes, it's specific and it seems arbitrary, but a lot of thought goes into all this stuff. So I can do that with a 1911. I can do it with an LCP. I can do it with a Ruger, a Smith, a Springfield Armory, or anything else that's out there. And that's why you go to places. I always talk about trainers think about this stuff all the time. That's what they do. And people who are in law enforcement and special forces, that's what they think about all the time. The rest of us have other lives we live.
Right.
And so you go to somebody who says, well, you know, if you try it this way, and you have that, what we've come up with, we call the in-top moment, that I never thought of that. Well, obvious son of a gun. Doesn't that work really well?
I'll give you
to these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you examples right now. We were talking about, I was at Gunsight for this Bushnell Red Dot on Pistols event. And one of the concerns for people is, what if the dot goes down? What if the dot goes down? I don't want to rely on that. I don't want to rely on that. Well, guess what? They taught 3 different options for if your optic is, covered with mud or ice or something, or if it goes down, whatever, you can't use it. 3 different options. One is you look through the empty sight. There's no dot in it, right? Use it as a ghost ring, put it at center of mass and pull the trigger. Yeah. The other one is, depending on what your optic is, the top of the red dot, you put right at the shoulder level and you press the trigger. It's going to be about center of mass. And the other one is punch out and put the back of the slide in the center of the chest and pull the trigger.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But if you've never thought of it, because most of us don't, look, if whatever your job is, that's what you think about. And that's, if you're trying to get better at something, that's what these trainers do. They spend their time thinking about this stuff and studying it.
And they're out there trying it. And so you could look along the side of the slide. You could do, and of course, for all of that to work, and it will work if you're at the typical self-defense distance of, anywhere from bad breath distance out to 5 yards.
Right.
If they're more than that, you're probably not engaged in a fight in the first place. And actually just stretching out there, pointing the gun, looking at the back of the slide and pressing the trigger probably is going to get the job done.
And that was their point. This is emergency. I have to do something right now. And you're at close distances. Yeah. If you're at 25 yards, you probably don't have to engage at that point. Maybe we could probably come up with a scenario where you would, but
you could.
hopefully you don't have to just start spraying bullets at 25 yards, and you can just run or hide or whatever the heck it might be.
Right. Hey, I want to talk about something else for a second.
Yeah.
I'm out here where we've got forest fires everywhere, all over the West. Just as we're talking here, I just get a note from my buddy Mike. Says, ash, smoke, and wind are like nothing I've ever seen here today. Ash all over the cars. Let's talk for a second about having a go bag. Because stuff happens.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it's a forest fire or a flood or hurricanes, at least you get a heads up on the deal. Tornadoes, gas. So police come to your door and you're pounding on it saying, rail car just overturned. There's a cloud of chlorine gas coming. You got 30 seconds to go. You got to get out of here. You got to get your people and go. Do you have something you could grab and say, okay, this has not a lot, but it's got enough stuff to get us through one night or 2 nights? Mm-hmm. Just a thought.
See, Tom, I hate when I talk to you about this kind of stuff because it makes me sit there and double think everything that I've done. Like up until now, I've been a failure because now I'm going, I do not have anything like that, but it's a brilliant idea.
And part of that is, now, KJ, you're living down in hurricane country.
Right.
One of our rules is you never let your car gas tank get below half.
Yeah.
Because if you got half a tank of gas, you could get to someplace.
Yes.
You can go 150, 200 miles. But if you're sitting there almost on empty and you're thinking, well, I was going to get it filled up, you painted yourself into a corner.
Yep. And I have changed that. But the idea of a go bag, and not necessarily just a go bag like we normally think of. We've got our guns and med supplies, but just a bag where it's like, those are clothes that stay in there.
Those clothes stay. I need one change of underwear. I need one change of clothes.
You got some cash.
Need, some cash. I got a few $100 of cash just living there, and you never go into that bag to get stuff out to use.
Yeah.
That one is
right.
No. You never touch that bag.
Right. Until it's time. And that's something that a lot of, you just don't think about that kind of stuff. And it goes back to what were you talking this weekend? You were talking about, what were you talking about? Something that I go, you know what? He's right. Or it was a couple weeks ago when you were talking about the Kyle Rittenhouse and some of the gear that he had on his gun.
Well, when he had a
sling.
He had a sling.
Yeah.
He had a sling and he knew how to use it. And having a sling prevented somebody from yanking it away from him and possibly shooting him with his own gun. And people go, oh, what's the big deal? If you don't have a sling on your fighting a long gun, shotgun or rifle, you really don't understand. And if you go take a class somewhere, they will make you have a sling on that if it's a decent class.
That's another great thing about taking a class is it tests your gear.
Oh, my gosh.
And your setup of gear.
Yeah. Well, I was at Clint Smith's class, and I have a gun belt, and it's, it just goes with me everywhere when I go to a class or something. And it was a relatively new gun belt, and I got to running in it, and we highlight it in the video because it taught me where I went to reach for a mag, it wasn't there because it had shifted just a little bit, but it wasn't where it normally is. And I think, man, it's something to think about. And you're right. A training class shows the flaws in your gear.
I think it was Clint who said, look, put on all your gear and then do a couple of somersaults and roll around on the ground and get up. All the gear that's left on the ground, stuff you're not going to have in a fight.
Right.
There's Clint. He said to the class, he said, anybody here ever been in a fight? And, hands came up. He says, did any of you ever end up on the ground? And all the hands stayed up.
Right.
His deal is it's not going to be standing there like on square range. You're probably going to end up on the ground, and you need to know how to fight from the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, Tom, I just remembered exactly what it was. But the Rittenhouse thing it's, do you have a gun belt beside your bed with a gun in it?
What a concept.
We were talking about multi-story, engagements and running up and grabbing the kids and putting them in your arms. And now you've got a gun and you don't know what to do with it. It was exactly that. And I look around and I go, well, I've got a gun belt. but it's in the garage.
Right.
If you have a gun belt and a holster and a gun next to your bed, you can just get up and literally put on your gun belt, put your gun in the holster. Now you can go and do what you need to do.
Yeah. Let's talk about people getting their first gun, trying to find ammo, trying to know what gear to take to a class, all that stuff. I mean, we know that ammo is hard to come by right now. I saw listened on the show, I guess it was a week ago, one of the guys said, all right, I'm finally getting on board with reloading. And he goes, I understand. I'm too late at this point to jump in to solve my ammo issues today. But he said, I'm going to start going down the road of reloading, knowing that next year I'll get it all set up and I'll be up and running with it.
Right.
Well, of course, the problem right now is that even components are in short supply.
Right.
Primers, powder, projectiles, but not a bad idea. It's like, well, it's too late to start. No, it's never too late to start. People say, well, ammo costs 3 times as much as it used to. Okay. The only question is, do you want it or do you not want it?
Right.
And if, and somebody's walking in now and saying, wow, I'm going to have to pay $700 for 1,000 rounds of 5.56. And 6 months ago, I could get that for $300. That's all true. But it's still available. Now, you may have to do it mail order, and through Gun Dealio, we have a lot of links to the people who still have ammo and have guns and all that. And
we're finding there is stuff for sale.
Yeah. I mean, Gun Dealio is a great resource for that. People say, well, my local store doesn't have everything. Okay, I understand. I'd rather you buy it from your local store.
Yeah.
Because we've got to keep our local gun stores in business.
Absolutely.
But if they don't have it, go to Gun Dealio. Guarantee you there's a link somewhere that will find you ammo and guns. Guarantee you.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you haven't checked it out, you might know about the app. We have Gun Dealio app for your smartphone, Androids or iPhones, but also gundealio.com. We're updating that all the time as well. So we have links to all those places that actually have ammo in stock.
Right, exactly. And yes, you're going to have to pay more for it. That's just what it is. Yeah. That's because you didn't listen to me for the last 8 years when I've been saying, buy ammo, buy ammo, buy ammo. And I kept saying, it's cheap now. It's available now. Something's going to come along and cause this to change. Now, I didn't know it was going to be a stupid pandemic or riots in the streets or defund the police. But I knew that something was going to come along because this is a cycle. It always does.
Yeah.
And you buy it cheap when it's available. Even if you say, well, I can only buy a box a week. Cool. Buy a box a week. Yeah. And if you've been doing that for the last 5 years, you'd be sitting pretty right now.
Right. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
But, Ryan, your original question talking about, where are they going to find this stuff and how, and Tom brought up a good point right before we were hopping on the show, that sign up for a training class and out at Gunsight, they've got ammo. And you just got back from Gunsight. So that's a good place to start.
You don't have to bring your 1,500 rounds of ammo for a 5-day class. They'll just sell it to you at not marked up.
Right. They're not marked up. They buy a year's worth of ammo at a time. It's crazy how much they have there. But they don't sell it to anybody other than people who are taking their classes. So when you start to think about it, you go, wait a minute, I could buy ammo at 2019 prices there, enough to get through the class. It starts to make the class become more attractive.
Yeah, it's worth taking the class.
Yeah. Well, you should be taking classes anyway.
I do love it. Then they say, well, people come in on the last day of the class and say, I'm running a little short. Can I buy 500 more rounds? No, we understand you going to go put it in your trunk and take it home.
Right.
No. Yeah. We're on to you on that. Because
they know.
We're shooters too. We know what you're up to.
Yes. We're ammo hoarders.
You can't hurt a guy for trying.
No,
I'm not going to lie. I'd probably try it.
But if you're new to guns, if you just bought your first gun, buy some ammo. But the other thing is, let's talk for a second about there are other things you can do. Dry fire and also these laser trainers that you can use. Yeah. There are a lot of things you can do to get comfortable with your gun, to handle your gun, to pick it up a lot, to take the magazine, put it in, work the slide, take it back out, just over and over again. Dummy rounds, use those for snap caps, that kind of a thing. But you got to make the effort. The problem is a lot of these people don't even know that they need to in the first place, and then they don't understand where to go for this. And that's where I would refer them back to the First Person Defender series. We're in the 12th year now.
12th year
I don't know.
of
FPD.
I think we're in season 8.
Oh, it's the 12th year of Guns and Gear.
Guns and Gear, season 12.
That's
season
right.
8 of
eighth year of FPD. Okay.
They all start running together.
But there's so many
Yeah, no
lessons, and we
kidding.
just launched one this past week of a guy getting stuck in a riot, protesters, and how to deal with that.
Well, that was an interesting one. It was a small riot, but it was a violent violent people.
Right, small riot. It was
yeah,
very
my
intense.
You know what my plan is? I'm going to
Skinny
set
pedal.
myself. No, I'm going to set myself on fire and run through the crowd.
Yeah, that's one way to do it.
Then everybody will put music to it on videos, and
Yeah.
it'll be great.
Yeah, it's one way to go viral. You know,
I tell you, what's wrong with people?
Well, and I was reading something. I do want to pass this along. This is kind of serious stuff. I told Ryan earlier. I was reading a piece by a guy who's been to a number of these protests/riots. He's a former intelligence officer, special forces kind of guy. And the thing he's reporting is that the organizers of this, the people who are up in front with their bullhorns and all, they're the same people at every riot.
Yeah.
They are well trained. They have quote unquote security people there who are wearing armor, and they are taking pictures of anybody who's not clapping and yelling and participating. They're taking the pictures of the license plates of anybody they think might be not supposed to be there so that they can target you later. This is serious stuff. Basically, like we say, if you have the option, just don't be there in the first place. Hold on a second here, guys. I'm going to have to, you guys carry on. I got to go talk to a guy. I'll be right back.
No,
No, that's okay. We're out of time anyway for you.
Yeah.
Oh, are we? Okay.
We're good. We're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, go take a class, go on gundealio.com, find some ammo. But thanks for being with us. And, of course, listen to Gun Talk Podcast, Gun Talk Radio.
All the time. And join us live on Gun Talk Radio every Sunday.
That's it.
Stay vigilant.
All right. That's it for us. We'll see you next time on Gun Talk Nation.